I shot for a Japanese company. Everybody, the producer, they fly over from Japan, and they even fly over their own talent, their own male talent from Japan. And they have a thing that they enjoy, I guess. So the male talent, even though I'm not a mom, nor would never be a mom, and they like the younger girls anyway, but they like to basically suck on your tits and call you mom. And it's a 10-minute video of somebody acting like a small child and going, mama, mama, and sucking on your tits. And I think it's fucking hilarious, so it was very, very hard to sit there and try and be serious. I think that was the one of the most interesting situations that I've been in.
I did a panda gangbang once.
One of the weirdest scenes I've ever done was for Cream Dreams for Jason. And he had this, okay, I'm kind of obsessed with horse cock. I would never fuck a horse, but I think it's really fascinating that they had a squirting horse dildo, and it squirted milk. And so this other girl and I were squirting milk into each other's assholes with, you know, this giant horse dildo, and then shooting it out of our assholes into each other's mouths and onto each other's asses. And then we did the same thing with whipping cream. So it was, it was very interesting.
I did a scene where I was friends with a mentally handicapped boy, and he got mad at me and he knocked me out and raped me.
I definitely once, I put another dude's foot into a girl's vagina. That was pretty weird.
So I did a scene in which I played a Girl Scout, which Girl Scouts are young, you guys, so that was already a little weird. And then there was this housewife, and so the scene starts off with the housewife flipping through like a young girl's, like a Barely Legal type magazine, and she flips through the magazine and then she gets like frustrated about it and like mad at herself. She throws it down, and then she kneels on the thing and takes a whip and starts whipping herself on the back, saying she deserves this. And then I come to the door, and they told me to act like super like innocent, and like the housewife is very predatory. So she like comes, she's like, why don't you come sit down? And she's like touching me, and I'm all like, oh no, like it was super creepy. And so I get like really creeped out, and they're like, we want you to run away from her, like really run away from her. So I run away from her, and I go out the door, and she sits back down, and then the devil pops up to help the housewife like get me back. Like, if you sign this, I'll bring the Girl Scout back for you, or something like that. And so then me and the housewife, the Girl Scout, the housewife, and the devil have a threesome. It was so weird.
My first movie I shot was clown porn. I did Clown Porn Part 2, Crackwood, and I was dressed up as a hobo. And midway through the scene, there was a camel in the background, and they had me flipped upside down, halfway off a couch. Yeah, and I was fucking a clown. What can I say? I mean, Dick Chibbles was behind me with a big rainbow, you know, with, oh no, actually, he wasn't in his rainbow wig that time. He was a cop. He was a cop who came to my house, that's right. I had cards being thrown at me midway through the scene. They were scratching on the chalkboard on the side.
I do a lot of BDSM and kink stuff, so what's like normal for me is just like, I did a scene with medical staples where the medical staple gun is used for suturing wounds. And I had a series of medical staples done over thread. Pay attention to the thread because it's important. In a cross-hatcheting pattern, and it went all the way down to my pussy. So the point was, when you got all the 30 staples in and it went down to my pussy, you could pull the thread and my pussy would actually open up. And you are fucking, like, I look up and the ceiling is just honey and the whole room's going wah, 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 wah. And then the ceiling kind of parts and God's like, hey Rain, good job. I'm like, thank you God, and then I pass the fuck out. And when I wake up, all the staples are still in my labia. I'm like, you know, you could have at least taken them out while I was unconscious, because now I have to go through taking out while I'm awake, so you're an inconsiderate bastard. And they had to remove all the medical staples with the staple gun thing. And I don't want to do that again. It was a nice experience. It made me pass out. Yeah, piercing, not so much my thing. Who knew?
I think it was probably a solo scene, honestly, and it was in public. So that was awkward. And I ran around a golf course in my running clothes and got naked when there was a lot of people on the golf course. And they're all sitting there yelling at me, screaming at me, yeah, take it off. And I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And that was one of my first actual shoots that I did. So it was like my second shoot, I think. It was traumatizing.
But one time I shot this scene for a Japanese company where it was my birthday. So I was in a hotel room with 4 or 5 Japanese men, which totally makes sense. And they were singing the birthday song to me with the birthday cake. And I blew out the candles. And instead of eating the cake, I squished my little toes in it. And then I sat down on the hotel bed and stuck my little feet up in the air. And they ate the cake off of my feet, like the little, you know, like when you put your feet in the little foot baths and the little leeches bite them off? Bite off the dead skin. It was like that, but with cake. But American pastries are a lot sweeter than what their little Asian bellies were used to. So as they're biting off the little pieces of cake from in between my toes, they just turn like blue in the face, like shades of blue and green, where you can just see like this look of defeat come over them. Defeat over my feet. And one by one they all took turns vomiting into the bathroom as I just sat there and watched.
I've done work for FM Concepts, which they were one of the first companies I worked for. They're like the foot fetish, like tie you up people. And they tied me up and they tickled me. And you know, they kind of hinted at like doing it, and then we're like actually like getting to it. Like, oh shit, I'm actually getting tied up to get tickled right now. So I don't know, that kind of blew my mind a little bit. And I really started enjoying feet stuff. I actually like, I want feet in my mouth, and I want to put my feet in your mouth when we're having sex. I didn't think that beforehand, but no, through experiences like that, definitely.
I did a snubby hubby. So imagine the scenario is my stepdad is kind of like my slave. He gets in a maid costume, he wears a collar, and then he licks my boyfriend's cum from my pussy. Weirdest thing ever. And then they do a cum swap. Like, you guys are fucking sick. But it was so fun, because I'm kind of like a little dom. Even though I'm only 5 foot, I'm like, I can be like seriously dom. I'm like, bitch, get down on your knees, you're gonna lick my foot. When I gotta like play that, bitch, you're gonna do this to a guy, and then he's like my slave. Oh, I so get into it.
Weirdest? I got poked by hot dogs once. Like, not like in any holes, but like just poked around with hot dogs. That was probably one of the weirdest.
I've done a lot of weird scenes, but like one really weird scene, and it stick to my head, was in Ibiza. I was 3 years in the business, and Theo Franco Roccaforte, he directed it for an American company, and we were living in a house for a week with all those girls and the guys and stuff like that. And he had the glorious idea that we don't clean the kitchen for 3 days or 4 days, because it's a preparation for his scene, you know. So it's like there was food and dirty dishes and pasta and all this kind of stuff was still lying around. And he had the glorious idea, is like, you know what, okay, the kitchen is dirty enough now. I want to shoot a boy-boy, girl-girl scene where you kind of like fuck in the mess of the kitchen and stuff the pasta in each other's mouth, you know, and smear it all over you, and just use the dirt of the kitchen debris as a decoration for the scene. And we did that. And if I remember good, we even got a nomination for most outrageous scene in the AVN. We didn't win, sadly, but yeah, it stuck in my life.